All right, guys. So our next main topic here today is going to kick us over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and unfortunately, shortly after our show last week, it was next. It was like later on that day after the show went up. I think it was the next day. It was either later the day or the next day. Marvel dropped this big sizzle reel thing that had everybody talking, and they showed the first like clips of first shots. It wasn't really. I've seen a lot of people really blowing up or blowing things out of proportion with like the Eternal stuff. Like people are just like the Eternals looks amazing. It's like 3 seconds of Eternals footage in this thing. I'm like, you don't know anything about this movie still. Like we're all still in the dark here. Like, so all you're really saying is like Angelina Jolie looks great and like Rob Stark, forget his name, he looks great. And like Kumon and Johnny, he looks great. He's ripped now. Like that's really all you're saying. Like you didn't see enough about it. Now, granted, I do think the movie's going to be amazing, just because we have an Oscar-winning director directing the movie. So I have some pretty high hopes for it that it's at least going to be good. And then we also have like a bunch of people at Marvel themselves are like saying that Eternals is the best movie that they've done, which is a pretty big. It's a pretty big statement when you're the Marvel Cinematic Universe to say like out of all 20 some odd other movies, highest grossing movies of all time, that this one's the best from like the inside sources. That's a pretty big statement. So I'm definitely excited to see it. But they released this thing. It's a kind of a. It was very good. It had like Stan Lee's, kind of like voice going over the first like intro portion of it, like talking about like going, pretty much just going back to movies kind of thing, and like like that person over there is your brother, that person over there is your sister, whatever. It was really nice little dialogue over it. People, I don't know why if you guys heard about this too, but some little sour pusses out there were also talking like, oh, they just were cashing in on Stan Lee and just using like Stan Lee cashed in on Stan Lee. He was the biggest proponent of cashing in his own. He put himself in all the movies. Like no one was cashing in on Stan Lee. This was Stan Lee was like the guy. He made all the stuff. Like I don't understand. Like it's all his stuff. Like
Right.
it's honoring him, if anything. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like people try to find something to
He
complain
is
about.
Marvel.
Yeah, like he made all him and Jack Kirby like made pretty much all of the freaking Marvel characters that you're watching. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know. I thought it was sweet.
it wasn't like Stan left the company and had this bad falling out where he didn't want anything to do with Marvel. Like he was Marvel through and through.
Yeah,
Like he
yeah,
knows
for sure.
how much of his DNA is in those characters and in those stories. And I never knew Stan personally, but I mean, just knowing what he did and how his I actually got to meet Stan one time, which one of my fondest memories. But just seeing him in interviews and stuff over the years and stuff, and the way he carried himself and the way he talked about the characters and stuff, like I find it exceptionally hard to believe, unless somebody that was real close to him came out and said something. I find it exceptionally hard to believe that you know he would not be thrilled they were still using his voice and his connection, his personality to promote these things. I thought, like you said, I thought it was a very touching, like tribute almost in a way to him.
It was, dude. It was just because, like, it's a thing. Like, if you're a big fan, obviously, like someone like me, for instance, like there were bits and pieces of here, just like as you're watching, like you could get emotional, and it was
I was just about to
like
say, like, I they hit me right in the unexpectedly so. Like I heard it, I heard his voice, and you start smiling, and he goes on, and like, oh man, it gets you. Like it got me.
yeah, it got me. Like I wasn't crying, but I was just like, this is really sweet. Like this is really good. Like, I like this.
No, man, like that. I mean, that fondness and that realizing, I don't know, just revisiting that whole era and what all those films have meant so far, and how intrinsically stand. I mean, that was one of the hardest things in the world was watching that first movie that he didn't have a cameo in, and like
Yeah.
you knew it was coming. Like, you see his last cameo was it Captain Marvel was his last cameo. Um,
Was that or Far From Home? It was one of the two, I think.
Yeah, and
I
you
remember.
watch it and you realize that it was his last one, and like at that moment you're kind of like, wow, this is so. Yeah, I mean
It
that's
was a
crazy.
bit
I actually
bittersweet,
hadn't
yeah.
heard that. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off on a ramble here because I hadn't heard that yet, and I'm kind of processing the idea that someone would say that about that.
Well, that's what I was saying, man. Like, no matter what anymore, like, kind of like you were saying, like with the Michael Keaton thing, like the internet didn't exist. So, like, but like nowadays it does. So, like, there's people like you hear comments from people like I don't know, like you hear everything anymore. Like, even if you're not looking for it, because by no means was I looking for it. You come across the stuff, and everyone's always got something to say anymore. And it's all like no matter where you turn, there's always some like it baffles me like in some ways like for instance there's 6,000 downvotes on this video the Marvel one like this is from Marvel's YouTube channel. 6,000 people out there downvoted this and I'm just like how are you disliking this like
Yeah,
what is like because ironically enough like me even like have a YouTube channel here. I don't think I've ever disliked anything on YouTube.
I haven't either.
Like I really don't because I don't know like
I don't care that much.
I don't care. It's
yeah.
like,
I just
why
click on to the next video.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
like, it makes no difference to me, like, what if and that's the thing, it's like, if I don't like it, then I just won't watch it.
why are you
Like
Yeah.
watching it? Yeah.
yeah, it's
Turn it
like
off and move on to the next
yeah,
one.
it's like, you just like, people, like, just, like, hate watching things, like, Marvel posted something, dislike. It's
Right.
like,
Some people
dude,
just wanna watch
God.
the world burn.
I know, but it's like, man, like, don't you have anything better to do? Like, 'cause I just don't understand, like, what do you not like about, like, this? Like it's so weird. Like, there's even like, it's honestly, there's even videos that we've posted that gets, like, a downvote or 2 on it, I'm just like, "What is that was all I did was talk about the news." Like,
Some
it's, like,
people
not
just
an opinionated piece. Like, I'm just like, "Yeah, there's set photos here." There okay, in video.
somebody
Dislike.
some
Like,
people just
fuck did I do?
they just like being edgy and,
I
that's the
know.
problem, like, it's just I don't know how else to put it really, it's just they like to come off that way, it's almost like trolling,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like, I've got friends in my life that are like that are just, like, negative about everything, and, it's kind of annoying.
Hey, it's gotta be so difficult to be like that negative all the time, man.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's the thing. It's like, if you're like, obviously, I'm just kind of splitting hairs here. Like, you can dislike the YouTube video if you want. You can dislike this one. I don't give a shit. Um, but it's to like wake up and like watch something like this video, for instance, too. Like I said, like me and you, John, we said we got emotional watching this. And there's people out there disliking this. Like,
Yeah.
God, how bad must your life be?
Right.
Like, for you to be, like, offended by this or something, like, what is who wronged you, man?
Yeah,
Like
who hurt you?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, Jesus, like, I feel kinda bad for you because like, you must be having it rough. Like, for the something heartwarming, like, it's like, those videos, like, with the donations to, like, the hurt animals and, like, "In the arms
Mm.
of an angel." They play the dogs, like, freaking into,
Those
like, the
commercials suck.
I know, because it made you wanna donate, and you're, like, in tears by the end of the
Yeah,
video.
looking at all these, like,
Yeah.
dogs that look like they're crying basically and just, ugh,
Yeah, and there's people
makes you
out there
sick.
who would be downvoting that shit. Like,
Right.
it's just like, Jesus Christ,
I'd only
man.
downvote that just because of, like, what they're trying to do with what they're doing, like, just like, "We use these pictures and videos, you'll send
Oh,
us
yeah.
money."
Manipulating you.
Yeah, like yeah.
For sure. But that's what all movie trailers
Damn,
are,
you just asked me for the money. I'll give you some
Yeah, right.
money. Don't make me feel terrible about
Yeah,
Yeah,
it.
right.
stop making me I, like, have to turn away when that commercial comes
Yeah.
on.
It's like, I just, like, I didn't wanna cry, I will donate, though,
I'll
like
give you some money. Just chill, please,
Right.
please.
Right.
I know there's bad things in the world. Unfortunately, I'm one person. I can't fix them all.
Right. Oh, man. But yeah, the Eternal stuff, like I said, this is you didn't really get to see much of it, but I think before I forget, before we move on, notable absences in this whole thing, though. I mentioned it on Discord. Was there's no Captain America 4, no Blade, no X-Men anything, which was to be expected. Like in all honesty, they did have the 4 come up for Fantastic Four, but they didn't actually say Fantastic Four. Which so it's like, are they just using the 4 for Phase 4? Or were they
No,
really doing
I think
Fantastic Four with that?
I think that's the film that's gonna cap this phase off.
You think so?
Yeah, because I mean, Feige already announced that movie was coming, and that was the exact same logo that they used at
But
the
they
investors.
didn't have the lettering on it. They did on the first announcement. That's what I thought was interesting. They just had the number 4 at the end.
Yeah,
'Cause you know
I
what it
know.
is.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
with
they're
you. I
just
do think it still means they're gonna do it, like, but I
yeah.
find it interesting. It's like a notable absence to end it with that same 4 logo, but not
Mhm.
actually say Fantastic Four. I was just
Yeah,
like,
I think it was just
"Hmm."
a clever way of wrapping everything together there then.
Right.
Plus, it's like I said, the M1, but
Yeah. No, I did
I
that's where my mind was going initially with it.
the most shocking thing to me, I think, of all this, like, I'll say this, like, Kevin Feige strikes again. Man, that dude is
Yeah.
just like, okay, you're gonna release you're coming back to theaters. It's been a long time. The pandemic has really knocked theaters on their butt. People, haven't been in a long time. Like, how do we promote our movie? Well, they could have dropped a brand new Black Widow trailer, and that hype alone probably would have carried it. They dropped the Shang-Chi trailer, and that got people hyped up for that. They could have just all they could have done was drop a Eternals trailer, and that could have been the hype alone that they needed to get people, back into the theaters. But no, they do this like retrospective, heartfelt, amazing, like remember all these things you love. Remember how special it was to go to the theaters over this past decade and watch these characters that you came to love. Like, remember that? Well, guess what? We know the pandemic was rough. We know it was hard, but we're back, and we're committed to bringing you those exact same experiences, those exact same feelings, those exact same adventures. Going forward, and like just what a smart way to start getting people excited again and ramp up the even though people are already excited after Wanda and WandaVision and Cap and the Winter Soldier or Falcon and Winter Soldier, like, just such a smart play on his part. And then also to drop in like key details that everybody's talking about, like the name of the next Black Panther 2 and the
Oh,
name of
yeah.
the next Captain Marvel movie. We get Wakanda Forever and we get the Marvels. So like, just I don't know. I'm in awe of that guy, and thank God he's out there in the world and he's doing such a great job, with this. But the one other thing I will say is because it will be brought up ad nauseum until it happens. Like, Kevin Feige, I think is I think in my estimation, this should close the book on any talk of an X-Men or mutants in the MCU until 2024, 2025, maybe at the earliest. Because
Hmm.
I think we're going to go through all of phase 4 without mutants. And I think that's just fine. I think Kevin Feige realizes the biggest franchise to come out, the biggest Marvel franchise that was out there besides the MCU was the X-Men franchise at Fox. And I think he feels, and I believe rightly so, that we need some distance, that we need to have maybe a few years, 4 years without the X-Men and without mutants being center stage in film, and then they have an opportunity to bring them back in a grand manner at some point down the road.
Dude, speaking of which, because you brought up a good point here. With the X-Men, when the X-Men finally do come, if Kevin Feige could call you and ask you, "John, I'm making X-Men. Well, who's the core X-Men characters I should have and to kick off the MCU X-Men? Who's your lineup for, like, the intro movie? Who's gonna kick off the team?"
I think you look to the '90s era X-Men. I think you look to the animated series. I think you look to the Jim Lee '90s it's Claremont,
Chris Claremont?
maybe Chris Claremont, Byrne, that era X-Men. And so,
John Byrne?
I think, yeah, John Byrne. I think you look to Wolverine, Logan, you look to Storm, you look to Scott Summers, you look to Jean Grey,
Notable
Iceman.
characters that people
Yeah.
understand and know and have
Um,
relationships with.
Yeah, definitely. You may be able to throw in like maybe a bishop would be kind of cool to throw in there. It just depends on how comfortable you are and with how big of a roster and introducing the characters on screen.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of my the one nice thing about having Fox having had the X-Men franchise is that you could not be as precise or as they don't necessarily need a complete origin story. You can gloss over the origin story maybe to some degree because for the general audience there is at least some component of knowledge of who these characters are because of the X-Men franchise from Fox. So we'll see. But I that's kind of the era I would look at for that. Psylocke and I think would be a cool one to add in there. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would definitely.
You guys,
I like the idea of the going to like the '90s team and all, like the
That would be
animated
cool.
team.
That was a great show.
Yeah,
yeah.
because that's for a lot
That's
of
what I think of
people.
when I think of X-Men.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. For a lot of people, it's like their definitive X-Men is still that '90s show.
They used to sell
Mhm.
the VHS tapes at Pizza Hut.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
remember I had like 5 of them, I think, yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm talking like 93, 94.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
that was back when restaurants actually gave you when fast food joints gave you actual cool toys and stuff.
Dude, they used to
man.
have some really
Yeah.
cool toys.
Yeah, you remember
Yeah.
those glass cups from Batman Forever?
I had all
and
of
they
them.
had like the Riddler handle on it.
Yeah,
like,
that
it
was so
loaded.
cool.
They were
Dude,
dope,
They were
dude.
like glass mugs.
Yeah, they were cool.
If it wasn't gonna take me like 10 minutes to go dig them out, I'd go pull one out for you right now.
So
'cause
I
they are-
used
wanna
to
buy
have them
one.
like just a couple years ago, and like now they're
Yeah,
gone.
I've
We
got
had the
'em.
one with like
I've got 'em
Two-Face
all.
on it.
Yeah.
and
Oh
Those were
yeah,
cool,
the
man.
the handles were decorative, like engraved handles
Yeah.
too. On
They
them.
really put a
Yeah,
lot of
they're
effort
great.
into those.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, it took some effort to get those made, and like, I mean, you got them for friggin' McDonald's, dude. It's crazy.
Remember like
Yeah.
the Star Wars toys at like, what was it, like Taco Bell and Pizza Hut,
Oh, yeah.
KFC? Like there's just so much cool stuff from back.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Now
I
the
know, it
coolest thing
sucks.
they do is you get like Pokemon cards, and it's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the same Pokemon card that everyone's getting.
no, they're exclusive.
Yeah.
Oh, are they?
They're exclusive. Yeah, they're exclusive to the McDonald's.
Well, I mean, but yeah, but anybody.
But
can
everyone
get
that
'em.
goes to McDonald's gets that one.
Yeah,
it's not-
right,
yeah.
right, yeah. But it's not one you can just get. Like,
Well, it's like-
they have to go and get it from there
I
in the
remember-
window. You know.
Back in the day, the most elusive Pokemon card for a long time was Ancient Mew. Then one of the Pokemon movies comes out. You get one for buying a ticket. Everybody.
Yeah,
had
you got
Ancient
it
Mew.
given to you.
Yeah,
I think.
like, and it's just that's kind of like how it is. But
So just a quick side note, because we were talking about it. The kids get Happy Meals, and the one kid he's kind of aged up. The Happy Meal doesn't give him enough food anymore. But McDonald's was releasing. He's really into Pokemon, and McDonald's was releasing the Pokemon cards recently. In the past, what we've done is if he wanted one of the toys, we just have him add a toy. A lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but at McDonald's, you're able to just add a Happy Meal toy. It's like $1 or $1.50 or whatever. You can just buy the toy. You don't have to get the whole meal with it. So when he'd want food, we get him a regular meal and just add a toy onto it. And when we went to do that Pokemon cards, so many people were like buying them up or hoarding them or collecting them or
You couldn't do
investing
it.
in them, that McDonald's canceled that policy. Like you can no longer add the extra toy, or in this
That's
case,
stupid.
the Pokemon card to a meal.
Yeah.
You
They were
had to buy
limiting
that
sales
Happy-
too.
To
They
one,
were-
yeah.
Yeah, so it
It's
was either one or
crazy.
two, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I think if you went in and visibly had 2 children with you, they'd give you 2, obviously. But,
Yeah.
like, yeah, they were limiting it to, like, 1 or 2 per order kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
were they holographic?
I think they were. Some holographic. I don't even know which one it was.
Yeah.
Like, I have no
There's
idea.
so many freaking Pokemon now.
Yeah, I mean, now there's, like, 800 different Pokemon, so and, like, fuck, it could have been, like, a brand new one made just for this. I don't know.
McDonald's Mon or something.
I never understood. It just made me think of McDonald's. I don't know why people call it that.
Yeah, McDonald's.
I'm going to the McDonald's.
Well, in Europe, or no, not Europe. Yeah, England and Australia, they call it Maccas. Maccas. Like,
Yeah,
you want to go
weird
to
too.
Maccas?
That's
I don't know
weird.
why. I mean, it's called McDonald's still there, but people just
Yeah.
refer to it as Maccas.
I went to a McDonald's in Italy, in Rome. It was a really nice
I went to
McDonald's.
one in Germany.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
It was way nicer than any of
And the
them
food's
around here.
slightly different.
They had a lot more. Yeah, they had different order. They had different combo like options for sure.
All I could think about when you guys were talking about this is Pulp
This is getting
Fiction.
weird.
The
Yeah,
Royale
Royale
with
with
cheese.
This is getting
for
weird.
sure. Well, back to the topic here at hand. Well, we got to talk about Wakanda Forever and the Marvel
Marvels.
things. I do have something to say about that, but I'm gonna with the X-Men thing before we move on. I want to answer the roster question because
Yeah.
I really would go with, like I said, like the 90s would be the best way to do it in my opinion. So I would have like pretty much just like in the show, your core members, you know, your Scott Summers, your Cyclops, your Jean, your
Jubilee.
Beast. Well, we'll get to Jubilee, but your Beast and your Wolverine and like Gambit needs to be in it. Gambit's like the best fucking one, man. You have Gambit in there, and you have he could be like kind of your dude who kind of shows in and pops in and out, like you know, kind of like they did with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. And he was kind of like a lone wolf, you know. Make that Gambit, man. Make him be like kind of just like he just comes and goes. You know, he's a weirdo. That's what he should be. You know, like he's just this weird Cajun dude. He comes in, he throws cards, and then
He's got some card
he's
tricks.
he's just gone. You know, like do something like that with him. Make him
Weird
interesting.
Cajun dude.
Yeah, I mean, make him interesting. Make him kind of dark and creepy looking. I don't know. Not looking. Make him handsome. I don't give a shit what he looks like. But do that, but then have like kind of like they tried to sort of do in the like the Fox ones where like those core members there are like the older fellas, and then you have all the kids there. But I'd say actually, like, they never had until like later they kind of threw him in. But like Jubilee eventually made an appearance in those movies, but she was never like a main character. Like, she never like had a story or anything. Like, so I would say, and then they made Bobby, who like made Iceman, who was one of the actual original X-Men characters, a
Yeah.
kid at the school. Like no, don't do that. Make Iceman Iceman. Like he should be his own thing. Like have him be like he's an established person who maybe he's just not always at the school all the time, just like Gambit. But these are main core characters to your overall story. But have your Scott Summers and all them actually like training some young people and make those like the actual interesting ones. Like if you want to take some liberties and maybe say Psylocke is like younger, then do it. Like, but like find an interesting way to like do something new and fresh with it. So if you want to like de-age some of them because it really doesn't matter, then do that. But actually have, like you said, the ones that people know. You know, like your Psylocke, your Jubilees, your Gambits. Like I think just all those people should be in it. But the one thing they absolutely need to do is make Cyclops the leader of the damn team and make him like Cyclops. That was the one
Yeah.
thing they destroyed with those movies. They made like Wolverine was great, Hugh Jackman was great. A
Stuff
lot
that
of
they
the
did
other
with
ones,
Jean Grey was so weird. I
they
thought.
really didn't do that great of a job with Jean either. Like in all honesty,
Yeah.
not like it was very much a departure from what Jean really is. You can clearly tell they spent most of their time on Wolverine with those
Yeah.
movies. I mean, which I mean, he was the best thing really to come out of them, so I don't really blame them. But I mean, even from the start of that movie, it starts with Logan. Like,
Yeah,
like
I
that's
mean,
how it
the
comes
movies
in.
could have been called Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah, like that
he could have
cartoon from the
gotten
2000s.
Yeah, it could have been billed as a Wolverine series with the
100%.
X-Men co-starring. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I would like to see them switch up is make it an X-Men centric movie. But to do that, you need the X-Men characters. Like
Right.
you need to actually put them in the movie and like have them doing stuff. So like pretty much how they teased the end of Apocalypse, I think it was, where they were all training in the training room together with the most comic accurate appearances they ever had. Like they all had the blue suits on, Cyclops had the blue and yellow on. Like that's what we wanted to see, man. But we all these movies and we never really got it.
What movie was that?
It was like the very last scene of X-Men Apocalypse. Like I'm
Mhm.
talking like a post-credits kind of scene. It's the movie ends with them. They're all in the training room and they're like I said, they weren't comic accurate to a T, but they were the most comic accurate we had gotten. So that's what we need to do. Just make it a true X-Men character. But definitely, I'm totally in agreement. Take some liberties from the influence rather from the 90s show because it's so definitive X-Men for so many people. It would I don't necessarily mean you have to do like the costumes, but I would really love them to actually adapt the costume in some way, which Marvel has definitely been doing. So I am hoping to see that. Before we move on, though, let's talk Wakanda Forever. I think that's a great title, and it does
Yeah.
kind of. It doesn't really say much about where it's going, but it does give you some idea of what they're gonna be focusing on. You know what I mean? Like it's like gonna be. It seems like it. Granted, titles really mean nothing. Like, obviously, the title's just like a trailer. It's just marketing. It's just there to make you want to see it. Like, it's there just to, whatever. Like, some things are just called Iron Man 2,
Mhm.
Like, if you subtitled it, it doesn't really mean anything. Like Spider-Man Homecoming. He went to Homecoming. Yeah, it doesn't really mean
Yeah.
anything. So,
Far from home, he's in Paris.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's just they're just marketing tools for the most part. But with this, it makes it seem like it's gonna be very Wakanda centric and it's gonna focus on like where's Wakanda at now? And there's gonna be something meaningful. And it would make sense for this one. And honestly, with the Marvels thing, like the Marvels, that also with them adding the Ms. Marvel S at the end, that
Mhm.
actually does kind of give you an idea of where they're going with it. So like granted, these could mean anything, but this is an interesting approach for Captain Marvel 2 because before we assumed like Photon, Monica Rambeau would be in it, and then we assumed that since they're doing the Miss Marvel show that like she would make an appearance in it, but most people thought that like Monica Rambeau wouldn't be getting her powers until Captain Marvel 2. But she got it in WandaVision. And then same kind of goes for the Ms. Marvel show. I mean, we had no idea what they were doing with that, and we just saw the set photos. Like she's in full costume garb, so she's
Yeah.
obviously going to be established to some degree too. So they could go a lot of ways with this. So it's going to be kind of interesting. It's definitely intriguing that they're calling it this, implying that we're going to have those three, at least those three characters in it. And it's kind of like it just reminded me of Shazam and how at the end of Shazam the whole Marvel family was there.
Yeah.
Like they all were there, and now it's like, oh, the Marvels, like there they are. But yeah, there was really nothing other than Quantumania. We knew that was happening. Guardians Volume 3 and then the 4 logo. So what did you guys think about the Wakanda Forever being the title and
I think
the
it's good.
Marvels thing?
I think I don't know much about Marvels or Captain Marvel or anything like that really, but Wakanda Forever seems like it's a good title, especially with like I don't know, it's a pretty solid like heavy sounding title I think, and especially with like the passing of Chadwick Boseman and all that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
It's very fitting too because it honestly, like, not only like the implications of it, like due to Chadwick's like unfortunate passing and everything, but it was also a very popular like catchphrase from the movie. Like
Yeah.
everybody was
Yeah.
going around saying Wakanda forever. Like Black Panther said it all the time himself. You know what I mean? So, and
Right.
that's why I think like they all said it. Like all the Wakandans said it. It was like their battle cry. It was
Yeah.
also like a salute. Like all the time. So
Mhm.
that's why I'm thinking it makes it seem like it's going to be very Wakanda centric. Like it's going to be about like Wakanda, like as
Mhm.
opposed to. I mean, it is called Black Panther, but you can see Black Panther is actually quite small in this, and like Wakanda Forever is the big catchy part. So that's what.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, just a title. I'm probably reading too much into it, but to me, it was good. It got my mind, my wheels spinning. But what are your thoughts
Yeah.
before we move on, John?
Yeah. I mean, the Wakanda Forever. I mean, the one thing that obviously it ties very nicely into the phrase that resonated with a lot of people coming out of the first move film, and Chadwick, Black Panther, it's his battle cry when they go up against Thanos in Infinity War. So it's fitting that that's the next, and I think there's the subtle implication too, the use of the word forever. The tragic passing of Chadwick, but his mark on the film and his mark on the universe and the fans is going to last forever. I like that. It's a subtle thing, and I'm not even sure if it was intentional, but I feel like there's a part of me that wants that to be part of what they were going for too. Is just a subtle way of honoring what he had done.
No, it's like
And
it's
then
meaningful. Yeah, like it seems
yeah,
like it could be
yeah,
meaningful for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm in the same boat
Um,
there.
and then it also just story wise, I think is beautifully fits in with where the film was going at the end of the first film. And at the end of the first film, you know, T'Challa has decided that, Wakanda is not going to just be this contained, isolated country in Africa, that they are going to go out into the world and they're going to influence the world, and their legacy is going to resonate across the world forever. And so it will be interesting to see the Wakanda part of it really leave its mark and see how its influence has grown across the MCU world, and how they've helped reshape things. How their influence has helped in the wake of things like the snap, the blip, as they refer to it in the MCU, and how their work in different communities has elevated those communities, and the challenges that they've faced, I think, is probably something that they will touch upon in those communities, because they don't seem like the Marvel universe doesn't seem like they're going to shy away from relevant social topics and things of that nature. So I think all of it just it's a great title just on face value, but I think there's a lot of subtleties to it that will play nicely into the film. And then, like you said, with the Marvels, a brilliant use again. Whoever does their design work, brilliant use of the Ms. Marvel S at the end of it, not making it just a straight Captain Marvel 2 sequel, but tying in the design elements there, and giving us kind of this sneak peek of this expanded roster, these expanded heroes that are going to be appearing in that.
For sure. Like, yeah, I totally agree. I think it's going to be. And the other thing too, I guess we should mention before I move on, is like we got like dates for everything too, for most things anyway.
Sure.
Like, so that was good. Like with July 8th, like 2022.
I
That's just like a year away.
I'll mention this. I actually I think I went through each film individually. I believe that, if based off this schedule, that we will have a new Marvel film every other month, with the exception of the break between the one that comes out, like there's one that comes out June or July of next year, and then the following one doesn't come out until November. So I believe there's that we almost get a new Marvel film every other month for like the next 2 or 3 years. Just like, it just made me giddy and smile. It made my day. The rest of the day I was like, oh, this is so good. Plus, then you have the Disney Plus stuff.
Yep. And I was going to say too, there's 4 DC movies next year too.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, it's true.
DC says there are, but DC's
true.
track record of
That's fair.
It's not as good as Marvel's.
I can't argue that.
They do talk a big game.
There's supposed to be 4 DC movies next year, and then like at least the Peacemaker show. So there's gonna be like 5 DC titles potentially. Then at least 4 Marvel movies in addition to whatever their Disney Plus stuff is. And then on top of that, the Star Wars stuff. Like, we're gonna at least have a season or 2 of Star Wars TV as well. It's gonna be a big year next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a big year.
I hope my long lost billionaire uncle, leaves me something in his fortune, because I need to be able to quit my job to keep up with all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say too, like, think of all the hot toys we're gonna be getting.
So much content, so many things. Yes, so many toys, so many collectibles. Oh,
like,
man.
Jesus, man. This is why, like I was
I'm
saying,
not complaining at all. I'm not. Bring
Right.
it on. I'll take it.
You're not complaining. Your bank account's complaining. Your retirement fund is complaining more so than anything. But that's what I was saying with the Marvel stuff. This is one of the reasons I don't want to collect the Marvel hot toys, man. There's just so many of them, and there's just more coming. Joke. Like, it's crazy. I mean, and then I think I made the comment the other day. I think I said this on stream, but then at the same time, I chose to do Star Wars. Which is like,
as if
there's
never
more.
Die down
There's like more Star Wars stuff. So I don't know. It's that's why I can't double down on it. Like, I can't do it. But either way, question is, those guys, what did you think about this? Did you think this little sizzle reel here was did it get you emotionally like it did me and John? Like, I wasn't weeping or anything, but like, it got me.
Yeah,
like, I was like, oh, I was. I'm not gonna lie. It was after the honestly though, the real thing that got it too was after 2020 and the absence of like Marvel stuff, like, for the most part, it was really meaningful just alone as a fan for that. Like, if you take away the the Stan Lee dialogue over top of it and all that, just like the flashbacks, just like the little sizzle reel of, all the stuff that they've done and stuff like that alone was just nice because we had so little of it this past year. So I like that in general. So whatever you thought about this though, and the obviously, like I said too, at the end, like all the actual release dates for things, so the Fantastic Four teaser there at the end again. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below.